Our pace of living leaves us little time for leisure. Our program will give you a chance to experience the fascinating world of traveling, extreme adventures, hunting and fishing. Each week we will take you to the most beautiful places of Kazakhstan. The wild duck is partially a migratory bird. It prefers to inhabit areas near fresh water bodies. Ducks, pheasants and wild geese are a very popular target for hunters. On the vast territories of Kazakhstan, one can hunt for the duck in different regions. Hunting for this waterfowl is probably most dynamic. Very often, duck hunters book hunting tours to hunt for a few days, taking a lot of ammunition with them. In order to shoot a duck, one should have good sniper qualities. When you occupy the shooting position, you are filled with excitement. And in this mood, you may not notice you have used a few hundred shots. We could not miss the opening of the spring duck hunting season.
В этом году приняты новые правила охоты. Они во многом более демократичны, чем предыдущая редакция.
This year, new rules of hunting for ducks have been laid down. They are more democratic compared to the old ones. In particular, hunters are allowed to choose the days for hunting on their own, considering the local weather conditions. There used to be a lot of confusion and misunderstanding between hunters who wanted to hunt for drakes in the south and in the north of the country. The thing is, ducks return from their wintering at different times in different regions of Kazakhstan. Having chosen the most convenient game reserve for us, we start our trip. The Tasmurin hunting area is situated on the bank of the Ili River in 170 kilometers from the southern capital. Early in the morning, we begin the journey on the Kapchigai motorway, and near Kapchigai city, we make a turn to go towards the Kazakhstan settlement. The road dodges around desert Talkum. We go past several farms, and then at a distance we see low rock massifs of Malaysary and Tasmurin. The game reserve is named after the Tasmurin Pass. Malaysary and Tasmurin are spurs that are situated far northwest of the Jungar-Alatau spurs. The mountains here are not as high as those among the Jungar Ridge glaciers. Yet they are called mountains. The local landscapes and wildlife are typical for rocky deserts. The place is a natural habitat for partridges, hares, foxes, wolves and small rodents. The argali, or mountain sheep, used to inhabit this area in the past. We move to the dry river bed of Kurte. It supplies water to Kurtinskaya artificial lake, so the waters of the Kurti river do not always reach the Ili. We've just passed the Kurti riverbed. There's 40 kilometers from here to the cordon. Sometimes it has water, but most of the time the riverbed is dry. A significant amount of the river water is used for cultivating crops. And here we are at the central base of the game reserve. Huntsman Jalil and his wife Alyona show us the rooms of their guest house. Hello. Hello, welcome to the game reserve Tasmurin. This is the hostess of the base, Alyona. She is very hospitable and is known as an excellent cook here. The accommodation is pretty basic, 3 bedrooms and a sitting room. The hunting season at Tasmurin started on the 7th of March. The standard hunter package allows us to shoot 2 drakes. Jalil fills out a few application forms and we set out for the hunt. The lakes are still covered with ice, but the Ana branches and creeks carry the water. Ice in the spring gets very tricky. At first sight, it looks quite hard, but in fact, it has a soft texture. When you step on such ice, large lumps of it break off to pieces as thick as 40 centimeters. On the bank of the Ili, we see quite a lot of ducks, but we plan to hunt for them near small lakes that have been formed where there used to be a pond area.
На утку мы будем охотиться на канале в Тасмуринском охотничьем хозяйстве.
We are going to hunt for the ducks near a canal in the Tasmurin hunting area. Local people call this canal Savminovsky. In the not-so-distant past, the game reserve used to belong to Savmin. They dug this canal. There used to be a pond here. They started to breed fish. There used to be a lot of grass carps and big head carps. But then the level of the Ili water dropped considerably, and the pond was not suitable as the fishing site anymore. But now we have a lot of ducks, and we'll try our luck by searching for them in the riparian banks of the river in two groups. On their way from the wintering to their permanent habitat, the birds need to take a break to have a rest to continue their long journey. The delta of the Ili has been a large point where migratory waterfowl regain their energy for thousands of years.
До середины 19 века в ученой среде преобладало упрощенное мнение о том, что
Until the middle of the 19th century, there was an opinion that migratory birds choose the easiest and shortest route when they migrate from the north to the south. But well-known traveler Przewalski proposed an idea that these birds don't choose the shortest way, but the one where they can find a sufficient amount of food for their long flight. He made this conclusion during his expedition to the area of modern Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomy across the Ili River. Przewalski explored Lake Lobnor and Plateau Yıldız. He made this conclusion because he came across the same numbers of Netta and northern pintail ducks on his way in these two regions. He concluded that this route was migratory. Lakes and ana branches in the delta area are abundant with vegetation and are an ideal place for migratory birds to take a break. For some of them, the journey is over, as the birds choose the river delta for nesting. The rest will have to continue their long flight north.
Весной в Тасмурине разрешено отстрелять всего лишь
In the spring in Tasmurin, it is allowed to hunt for only a few dozens of wild ducks, because according to new rules, the spring quota should not be higher than 5% of the annual quota. The first interlocks of birds to land were northern pintails, burkey and Eurasian teal, and then three kinds of natter ducks.
Утка мотается только утром и вечером.
Ducks get lively in the morning and in the evening, until 9 a.m. and after 6 p.m. Igor Miloserdov, a senior hunting expert at the Tasmurin Game Reserve, takes us to a drying lake. We hear hubbub coming from birds in the canes. This sounds like music to our ears. Together with Jalil, we set decoy ducks and occupy positions.
Кстати, новые правила запрещают стрелять в лед, селезней, уток со слабо выраженным половым dimorphismом. То есть...
By the way, the new rules forbid shooting drakes when in flight. The ducks you cannot tell if they are male or female, as you may mistake a male for a female, which are not allowed to hunt for. And here is the first trophy. We get lucky. It's an otter duck. We decide to walk around the old lake to reach the Ili River bank. From the steep bank, a flock of ducks rise, mostly northern pintails and netters. We also notice a few grey ducks. Half the creek is ice-free, so we need an inflatable boat and a well-trained dog. 4 drakes for 2 hunters is a good result for the spring hunt. We return to the base camp. On the following day, Igor Miloserdov invites us for an excursion to the Red Deer Reserve. In a riparian forest, we see a herd of deer. Although nobody is allowed to hunt for them, animals are very cautious. Red deer used to be common in the valley of the Ili River in the past, but they became extinct in the 19th century because of excessive hunting. For the past 100 years, the level of awareness that we should take care of the environment has risen significantly, and now it is possible to breed red deer in a specialized reserve. The banks of the Ili River are covered with riparian forests which are called tugai. They are compared to jungles here. They indeed look like wild jungles, overgrown with turanga, jida, junipers, Ili barberries, chingil, tamarisks and clematis lianas that together form inaccessible thick wood. We get through the thick bushes and reach the Ili River bank.
В конце 70-х годов на правом берегу Или была организована сеть рисоводческих совхозов.
In the late 1970s, on the right bank of the Ili River, there were fields of rice grown by sovkhoz communities. Here we can see the Tasmurin Canal, which was built to cultivate the rice fields. Now that the level of water in the river is exceptionally low this year, it will be interesting to observe what will happen to the canal. We noticed that the level of water in the river has dropped significantly compared to what was last year. We see a small flock of ducks fly over our heads. But we don't shoot. We are mesmerized by the scene of the setting sun over the Ili River. The weekend passed quickly, and we haven't noticed that it is nearly over and it's time to return home. We will definitely return here in the autumn when birds are migrating south. In ancient times, hunting was man's main activity that helped them to survive. Wild animals were the source of food and clothes, as well as the source of tools and material for shelter. Today, hunting has not lost its popularity, but it has different purposes and methods these days. When a man stalks game, when he follows the animal and then makes an accurate shot, he is filled with excitement. Hunting is not just an ancient instinct. Today, it is a leisure activity that is popular with thousands of hunters.